How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Jordan Kurtz, and this is June 22nd, and we are recapping UFC on ESPN 11, Blaydes versus Volkov. We're going to take a quick look at it in the sense of what I got right versus where I've got wrong. I've been picking with an absurd level of accuracy ever since the cards started back up since the lockdown. So eventually, all hot streaks eventually have to come to an end. But, to be fair, I still went 8 for 12, so that's not necessarily a bad percentage in terms of my picks. So let's take a look at what I got right. So I said that in the preview, and this is in relation to the preview that I do before each fight. For those of you who haven't been following up to this point, I said Blaydes is a takedown technician, which could lead to major issues for the striker in Volkov. The smaller cage favors the grappler, so expect Curtis Blaydes to go to work with an early takedown that transitions to ground and pound. So that was pretty spot on there. Curtis Blaydes scored 14 takedowns in this contest. Blaydes was able to take Volkov down at will until he did start to get tired. Self-admittedly, even said so that he was a little bit disappointed on that side of things. But it was overall a pretty dominant performance there for the heavyweight out of Team Elevation here in Denver. The next matchup, or the next point, goes to the Emmett versus Burgos fight, and the first thing that was said there in the preview was that this has Fight of the Night bonus written all over it. The Josh Emmett and Hurricane Shane Burgos was awarded Fight of the Night, and this was one that a lot of people are calling for it being in the discussion for potential Fight of the Year talks. The only issue is when you start talking Fight of the Year is this is also a year in which you had Weili Zhang and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and I don't know, it's hard to top that one so far at this point for me. We look at the next one, which is the Colorado native Rocky Raquel Pennington is one of the flat-out toughest women on the planet. Rocky is too tough to top in this one. Lock it in. So Raquel Pennington showed why she's one of the strongest fighters in the women's bantamweight division, period. She's fought the best of the best. She's definitely not one that has ever backed down from a challenge, and she'll go in there and she'll mix it up. Rocky went in there. She outstruck Buren Ronald by 37 strikes in the unanimous decision. Huge victory for her. Gets her right back in the winner's circle after fighting Holly earlier this year. So I also said I would not be surprised to see if Belal Muhammad pushed the pace on Lyman Good's lungs and tried to drag him into deep water. This was a tight matchup. It went the distance. Belal Muhammad and Lyman Good traded strikes at a near even clip of 84 for Muhammad versus 82 for Good. The difference was the takedowns. Muhammad scored 2 key takedowns late in the third round, or during the third round, I should say, and that really kind of stifled any sort of finishing effort that was coming from the surging Good toward the end. Said that Jim Miller is as tough as an old leather boot, and he is going to need that toughness against the surging prospect Roosevelt Roberts. Miller will be the toughest test of Roberts' young career. Jim Miller made his record-tying 35th appearance and is a legit black belt. Miller used his ground and pound wizardry, his ground wizardry as a whole to lock up the armbar halfway in the first round. It was a great night for the old vet right there. He was playing the gatekeeper role, comes out on top. It's a big win for him in that situation. You can call me a Colorado homer, but I like Tisha, the Tiny Tornado Torres, as the slight underdog in that matchup. It was the story of volume. Tisha Torres landed 111 total strikes to Brianna Van Buren's 37 in the unanimous decision win. Can't say anything more about that Tisha just came out and she set the tone for the night for her and Rocky as a couple, and they went out there and both found success in the octagon. Marc-Andre gets the nod for the pick in this matchup. Marc-Andre, he was a beast in the clinch. He landed 82% of his head strikes en route to the second round TKO. Somebody was bound to win in that matchup. Both of those guys were 0-6 in their last combined 6 fights. So someone had to finally turn it around. Although it was a tight matchup that could go either way, I like the overall tools that Robertson had to offer. Jillian Robertson might have been outstruck in this matchup, but her grappling was like a wet blanket. Robertson now owns the record for the most submission victories in the history of the women's division. She picked up the late rear naked choke against her opponent, and she saw it very late in the fight. Her coach told her, she said in the post-fight interview, she said that it's never too late to finish. It was with, seconds left in the fight, less than a minute left, and she pulled off the rear naked choke. I also said Austin Hubbard is a very tough and talented fighter that trains with a group of killers in Denver. Hubbard is a former world champion in LFA. He's also got a lot of cage time. This is a huge advantage against a guy who has just 5 pro fights. Max may have bitten off more than he can chew against Hubbard. So Austin Hubbard literally punished Max Robskov. I know I'm totally butchering his name so badly to the point that he broke him mentally. And Max quit on the stool and didn't answer the bell for the 3rd round. Hubbard gave him the type of, you need to reevaluate your life and what you're trying to get out of this type of beating in the octagon on Saturday. Now, to be fair, and not to always keep myself on a pedestal here, let's bring some balance into the equation and take a look at what I got wrong. So, I said that in the Emmett versus Burgos fight, I'll offer that taking action on the fight finishing by a knockout or a technical knockout is a safe play. It was close to that. Had Josh Emmett not sustained the knee injury in the 1st round, it's a strong likelihood that one of those shots that sat Burgos down for the knockdowns could have potentially been something that shut the lights off had he been, sitting with a healthy body. Now, they also had 256 combined significant strikes, so a knockout and TKO prediction was not very far off, just to be fair. I also said give me the moneyline action on Roosevelt Roberts. Roberts has been active, and he looked impressive a couple weeks ago against Brock Weaver. Now, I do recognize, and I'm not trying to say that Brock Weaver is even in the ballpark or even in the remote discussion as far as the caliber of fighter that Jim Miller has proved to be over the course of his 35 appearances in the octagon. I'm not saying that at all. I just thought that, the young gun that was kind of surging, he fits the mold of a lot of what the new age successful fighters are, long and lean. I thought that he might have had a chance to pull it off against the old dog, but I was wrong. Green has won just one of his last 6 fights. Hammer the odds on Guida all night. Guida is known for his relentless pressure and cardio. Expect him to use it here. Rolled the dice on this one, and it came up snake eyes. Bobby Green dominated Clay Guida, landing more than 63 more total strikes. Can't really say much to that. He beat the hell out of Clay Guida. Clay Guida was in his 55th pro fight. Might be time to start figuring out, how much longer, or how much left he has in the tank. I don't know. He's been hot, and then he's been cold, hot and cold as far as his recent matchups. I mean, he was looking strong up to this point, but just did not look like him. A guy who normally has some volume and is heavy with his pressure just was not that. I also said to hammer the odds on Frank Camacho. I said he's an island scrapper that's taken on a week of short notice debutante. I couldn't have been more wrong about this one if I tried. Frank Camacho went out there and got knocked out 41 seconds in the 1st round to Justin James. I was not expecting that in the least. In general, for someone to go through the process of cutting weight, on just 2 days' notice, taking the fight, getting in there, tough to say that someone, comes in and pulls that off against a vet like Camacho right away. I was wrong. I also said that if this contest hits the ground, it's going to be Roxanne. As for the pick, like the song says, Roxanne. All she wanted to do is party all night. Well, I got that one wrong too. Laura Murphy was the better overall fighter in the cage that night. She was physically stronger and was able to secure the takedowns while stuffing the shots of the black belt Roxanne. Roxanne couldn't find a submission, just wasn't able to pull off the finish that night. And Lauren Murphy, shout out to her. She's on a little winning streak right now, and she's looking to crack her way into the top 5 and continue to inch her way toward that title shot in the women's flyweight division. So, like I say, overall pick results, I went 8 out of 12 on the night. We have, as far as what we hit on moneyline picks, we have Curtis Blaydes, Josh Emmett, Raquel Pennington, Bilal Muhammad, Tisha Torres, Marc-Andre Barrial, Jillian Robertson, and Austin Hubbard. We missed on Roosevelt Roberts, Clay Guida, Frank Camacho, and Roxanne Modafferi. The UFC bounces right back on June 27th with a stacked card featuring Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker in the main event. Factor X's Yusuf the Moroccan Devil Zalal was also just added to the card, fighting Jordan Griffin. I'm Jordan Kurtz with comments from the Peanut Gallery and the MMA Plug, powered by Mile High Sports.